And then, my people, as I posted all this stuff on Facebook, I discovered even more stuff. Oh, we're going to talk about it all. We're going to question the Rwandan community, the Rwandan culture, the Rwandan history, the Rwandan present and politics. What are some of the things that may have contributed to this young person's mind, and what's going on in his environment, in his family environment, in his culture, in his society, that may have influenced him in becoming a killer? Because, as we always say, never again. So we are concerned. As you know, I'm from Rwanda. I was born in Rwanda, but I'm living in Canada. I came to Canada as a refugee. Many Rwandans leave Rwanda and run away from the Kagamistan precisely because it's a criminal dictatorship and they become refugees. But this man, the father of the guy who is a killer who went to court, who has been charged with killing these 3 innocent little girls and attempted murder on more people. Well, I found out the person who came to say that, okay, I'm talking nonsense, but the one thing that is real is the father was in the army, in the killing machine army, and he was relieved of his duties. And then when I'm asking, I'm like, okay, so he was in the army, relieved of his duties. Why was he relieved of his duties, my people? Why was he relieved of his duties? It will shock you even more, and then you will understand what's going on. So let's get into it, and then let's answer this question: are white people in danger? Short answer, yes. But we're gonna get into it. Welcome to the show. Share the show, like, share, subscribe. You and I talk show. Your host, AUSARES, Louise Uwacu. I'm here, and I'll be answering your questions. If anybody want to join the show live, I'll be answering your questions, and I'm also giving you my perspective, my observations, and my questions, and what I found out, and what needs to be investigated as well. All right, my people, welcome to the show. Okay, my people. So we're still talking about our white people in danger. The Rwandan boy who killed 3 innocent little girls in the UK. Is there something in the Kagamistan killing culture that we can denounce that may have contributed to the mental health of this young man and may have caused him to become a killer, or by influencing, him to become a killer? I see your comments on YouTube. Ayana Mahoro, thank you so much. My brother, my sisters, my people, thank you so much. We're here. And then Sanzamaganwa Habibu, but why are they showing us an old picture of the killer instead of him at 17 years old? Secondly, I can say not yet. The worst is yet to come, because the Kagamistan has planted the ideology of hate and being a murderer into young people. We're going to talk about that, okay? So, what did I find out that may explain this? So, first, I find out that his father was in the army, and then he left the army, and then he went to the UK, migrated to the UK in 2002, and then the son was born in 2006. So this is the latest picture when he went to court, as he was charged for the murder of the 3 innocent little girls. Let's keep in perspective why we're here. It's for the victims. It's for the 3 little innocent girls who will not get to live, and so that this thing may never happen again. The truth is another name for justice. So what did I find out, my people? I post like, okay, this guy has been in the army. The army is brags of being killing machines. So somebody comes to confirm. The person is on the record. This was before my Facebook was attacked and hacked and completely disappeared. But I got screenshots in the meantime. So the person tells me, okay, the father was in the army and then he got discharged from his duties, and then he continued on as a karate man doing his karate thing, and then he moved to the UK, not as a refugee, not as a refugee like the rest of us who ran from the criminal dictatorship, but as an immigrant. I'm like, okay, so why was he discharged? Why was he let go from the army? Guess what they tell me, my people? That he was discharged from duty. He was let go from duty from the army because he was underage. Because he was underage. So the father joined the army when he was underage. This army that prides itself, that claims to be killing machines. The father joins the army as an underage boy. He goes into the army, he fights war, and after the war in 95, we don't know when he joined the army. He may have joined in 94. He may have joined in 93, 92, 90. We don't know when he joined the army. But he joined the army when he was a young boy, when he was an underage. Because the person who came to tell me that the father was indeed in the army and that he was discharged from the army because he was underage knows the father and says that they are friends in England and he knows the father really well, and that's why he knows that he was in the army and he was discharged around 95. So that's after the infamous genocide that happened in Rwanda in 1994 against the Tutsi, because the Kagamistan Kagame had assassinated two African presidents who are from the tribe that he was fighting. You know, it was a civil war, tribal war, and then a genocide against the Tutsi. When the riots, when this news came out and people rioted in England, I was like, oh my God, maybe people are now going to understand how the genocide against the Tutsi actually happened. Because the same way that people hear a bad news, a tragic news, people who have been killed, and they react badly. That's exactly how it happened in Rwanda. People heard that two presidents had been assassinated, two African presidents assassinated, and then they reacted, they retaliated against some people who are innocent in the population who belong to the tribe of the people who assassinated the president. So this man was in the army as a young boy, as an underage boy, so much so that he was discharged, relieved from duty, according to the person who came to testify and confirm. He was discharged from the army after the war, after the genocide in 1995, because he was underage. So this is the father. And then he continued his career as a karate man. You know, one of the things that had made it suspicious is exactly to see someone in martial arts. Well, and then people who are saying that he may have been sent to the UK as a spy. And then they're saying that it would be a great cover for someone who has been in the army and then they get discharged from the army, but then they continue through martial arts and they get sent abroad. How many people do you know in the Rwandan culture, in the Rwandan system of the criminal dictatorship of the Kagamistan in Rwanda, that can actually leave the army peacefully and then go out there abroad to continue to live happily ever after their civilian dreams? You have this killing machine army who prides themselves on being killing machines army. They actually, when you join, they make you pledge that you will serve them for life. And in your service for life. There's no exit. It's just like a mafia. Once you're in, there is no way that they're ever going to let you be free so that you can go continue your life to enjoy your civilian life and live your dreams out there abroad. And then he didn't go to the UK as a refugee. So he went through the process of asking for visas and asking for immigration and legally immigrating, and all that stuff. So the criminal dictatorship in Rwanda, as a person who's been in the army, even though they watch him, they discharge him from the army because he's underage, as the person informed us. Well, they keep watching him. If they let you go abroad, it's because you're like on the inside, you're part of the ruling elite, you're part of the clique. Now this army, which prides of themselves of being killing machines, I'm going to show you a video of a Rwandan minister actually talking about it. So the thing that we must think about and question and ask question and investigate is because this army, which prides itself and calls itself killing machines, they say that the new generation, the younger generation, is even better killing machines than their fathers who are killing machines. So, would it be so far-fetched? Would it be like, should we not ask questions when you see a young boy, a young man who becomes a killer because his father, like his father was also in the army as a young boy, as an underage boy? I mean, is it it's such a huge surprise to hear that a father went into the army as a young boy and this army prides itself? Now the son becomes a killer. But what if they continue to admire the men that they fought for? You see, even the Kagamistan, Kagame, even him, he started going into the army as a very young boy. So this idea that someone is so young and yet they go into killing, this is not so new in the Rwandan culture and the Rwandan realities that we are living today, especially if they come from a family that has already been through that process. And then I was asking my Rwandan people, I'm like, if you are parents and you admire a criminal dictator in Africa, your children are watching you. Your children are watching you. So if you admire a criminal dictator, what do you think your children are going to become when they grow up? And then, so if you have been in the army as a young boy, as an underage boy, we can suspect that you know what they do to child soldiers in many African conflicts, and we know what they did to child soldiers in the Rwandan conflict. They make these children do horrible things. So if a man goes through that, even he goes through that as a young boy, as an underage boy, and then he has children, is it so far-fetched? Does it become such a huge surprise that even one of his children may fall into that? So this is where we say that these things, this information has to be investigated. Did this child ever go into military training? Because they start them young. Did this child ever go into Rwandan embassy activities? Because the Rwandan embassies have been denounced out here. You have a British writer. Today we're talking in English to the British people. This happened in the UK. Michaela Wrong, who has written a book about how the Kagamistan criminal dictatorship is killers without borders. You have the Canadian author Judy River, who wrote a book about In Praise of Blood. And then we have the latest book by Shauro Nana, which exposes Rwandan boys, young men who have been to Congo to kill and rape women and kill. And the war that Rwanda is into in Congo have taken over 10 million lives. Are all these things not supposed to be taken into consideration when a young boy leaves his house and goes to kill, and he kills three innocent little girls. Like, what is it in his background, in his culture, in his society that may have caused him to do these things? So, my people, I'm submitting to you all this information that is circulating among the Rwandan community so that you know, and that your people who are in charge investigate these things and put things together and tell us what exactly happened, that these young girls had to lose their lives, so please investigate. So let me show you the video of the Rwandan minister bragging that their army is an army of killing machines, and talking about how the new generation is even better killing machines than the old generation. See it for yourself. I will translate for you if there's some stuff in Kinyarwanda and you don't understand it. I will translate for you what's happening.
We umufisi muri hafi kuri buri kintu cyose. His Excellency yatanze amabwiriza kuri training ya RDF. Kandi kamana ni chief cyavuze gihinduka itegeko.
Okay, that was the video, but I don't want to put it without putting it myself on the screen so that I can stop it and show you and be
His Excellency yatanze amabwiriza kuri training ya RDF.
Okay, so he just said that His Excellency is Paul Kagame, the leader of the Killing Machines Army. He gave orders and instructions to his army on how they should be trained. He's the one who gave orders and instructions to the army on how they should be trained.
Training ya RDF. And
whatever the commander-in-chief says becomes the law.
RDF kuba trained kuba a killing machine.
And he told them, the word killing machine is actually in English, you can hear it for yourself. And he told them that he wanted the army, the Rwandan army, the Kagamistan army, to be trained so that they can become an army of killing machines. That wherever this army of killing machine may pass, that nothing will survive. This is the kind of training that they receive, that we receive. He said.
So, but better than we are. About the next generation.
And then he says that the new generation is even better than we are, than they are. This army of killing machines is even better than they are, than they were. So much so that they have no worries whatsoever about the next generation. Even when he speaks about the next generation, you hear him talking about the next generation, he said it in English. No worries whatsoever about the next generation because they are trained, they're even better than the previous generation. What kind of madness is that, my people? So do you think if a child grows up in this kind of society, in this environment, in this culture, Rwandan culture, in praise of blood, killers without borders, and then if a child has a father who has been in this army as a child himself, as an underage boy himself, do you think there may be something that may influence this child into growing up and becoming a killer himself? Do you think there's a relationship there, my people? These are the questions, giving this information that we are receiving, that we should ask ourselves. So, which comes back to ask, are white people in danger? Short answer, yes. And how are they in danger? So, what if you receive people in your own society and then they commit crimes against you or against your children? And the issue that I have observed, that I have seen, I'm in Canada. This are white people in danger. It's like white people going through the same issue, even in Canada, the same thing as in the UK, because of immigration, and they also have the same fears. You know, when it comes, for example, to religion and Islam, for example. And then, of course, they have fears when it comes to immigration. So, are white people in danger? Yes. Now, the problem is that one of the problems that I observe and that makes white people be in danger is that whenever they are victims and they're facing something that is tragic in their own community, and then they cry, they're like, oh, these people who are doing this, they may be Africans, they may be black, they may be from Islam. These people who are doing this, whenever it's white people who are the victims, and then they cry and they denounce whatever injustice is getting committed against them, what does the society tells them? Their own society tells them, oh, you are racist. They shut them up by telling them that they are racist. They shut them up by they telling them that they have Islamophobia. So then, by shutting them up and not allowing to express their fears and whatever it is that they feel that are dangers in their society, they actually make it worse in their society. They make it worse. So, because when you cannot talk about problems and issues and dangers that you're facing, you also cannot find a solution to those issues, to those problems. Now, what is the other danger that the white people are into, that is grave, that is facing their society? The danger in the UK, as we're speaking about the UK, for example, is they already have demographic issues, population issues. They already did not have enough children. You have some countries in Europe, they have not created enough children. They're going to disappear as nations, as countries, because they have not created enough children. You know, this is the case of Germany, for example. I've been doing some research and some reading, and Germany is in danger of disappearing as a nation because they have not created enough children. The UK, not as bad as Germany, but also very bad because they're not creating their own children. And this is precisely why their leadership, the elite, same thing in Canada, not enough population, not enough children. And the leaders, the politicians, they decide to import in new immigrants so that they can come and be your population, be your children, because white people have not created enough children. So one of the solutions would be for white people to create more children, which, as we come back to this tragedy that we are facing, makes this tragedy even more sour, because here, even those who created their children, now you have people who come into their society, and then your children are in danger, and then your children get killed. And then these children are women. Women, your white women, are the ones who are supposed to create these children for you. So why would it be so hard to understand that white people may be outraged and they may be facing dangers and may be facing fears, and they may react a certain way when their children are killed, because they are already facing all those issues of not even having enough children. Now, even the small children, the little children that they have, somebody's going to come in and kill them. So tragic. So tragic. But what makes the UK special? What makes Canada special? So much so that what makes the USA special? So much so that people want to come all the way from their own country. We run away from our own countries, our criminal dictatorships, to come and live in your own countries. Why? Because in your own countries, you have this thing called the rule of law. The rule of law, which we would also love to have in our own countries. But this is where it gets tricky, my people. In our own countries, for example, in the case of the Kagamistan in Rwanda, guess who finances the criminal dictatorship that comes in and the killing machine army, kills the people, does war, assassinates presidents, and then causes people to run away from them to become refugees? This criminal dictatorship, which comes to Rwanda, kills people, causes people to become refugees. This criminal dictatorship is supported by the UK, by the USA, by Canada, supported by some of these Western countries which love democracy in their own home. And yet, they support criminal dictatorships. And these criminal dictatorships in Africa, they make the best and the brightest run away from them. So we become refugees abroad. And then you see us coming into your societies. You're like, what the hell? We're running away from our criminal dictators, but our criminal dictators are supported by your politicians, by your government. So, one of the solutions, first of all, make more children. Second, hold your politicians accountable. Hold your politicians accountable. Do not allow for your money to sponsor criminal dictatorships in Africa. So that way, you will have nobody running away from the criminal dictatorships in Africa coming to you to seek refuge, running away from the criminal dictatorships that get sponsored by your governments, by your taxes. And this is precisely why we have been calling for a boycott. Boycott the Kagamistan in Rwanda, boycott the criminal dictatorship in Rwanda. Don't support criminal dictators because they create refugees and these refugees come to your societies. And then who knows what kind of trauma and madness that some of these people are going to come to your society with and put you in danger in your own society, my people. So I submit to you all these things and simply ask you that you take everything into consideration, ask your own questions, and then do an investigation and may the truth win. The truth is the other word for justice. Justice for the 3 innocent little girls who got assassinated, and justice for the whole nation, and of course healing for the whole nation. So I'll show you the other video that some people had posted of the young boy who killed these little girls. And people say that he would actually sometimes talk about how there needs to be a genocide in the UK. Where would an underage boy get the ideas of a genocide? He must be hearing it from grown-ups around him. You know, who trained this young boy to know how to use a knife, so much so that he's capable of killing so many people so quickly? 3 people died and more people went to the hospital. They say he attempted to kill up to 10 people. So this does not happen overnight. It requires training. So who may have trained him? What if it just so happens? What if it just so happens that in his immediate family, his own father was part of the killing machine army? Is it so far-fetched that these things may be related? All we are doing is asking questions and requesting for people who do investigations to also do an investigation. But all I know is that exposing this piece of information got me censored on Facebook and got my account hacked, completely hacked. And then people told me that this is precisely how the Kagamistan criminal dictatorship works, that I have exposed something that is important to them. This is an important information, because if there's still something to do with the Kagamistan criminal dictatorship, you may find that even the leadership in England, in the UK, may protect not the victim, but the killers, because they may be in some deals with the criminal dictatorship of the Kagamistan in Rwanda. We all know how recently in the UK there was this deal that they may send some of the immigrants to Rwanda, and it was discovered that they're into this corrupt system where they have been pouring money into the criminal dictatorship of the Kagamistan in Rwanda. And we don't even trust your newly Labour government, because Tony Blair was Labour, and yet Tony Blair was BFF with the criminal dictator of the Kagamistan, and he was even one of his advisors. So just because you have a Labour government doesn't mean that they're not going to collaborate with the criminal dictatorship, or that they are going to be looking out for your best interest. You must watch them, hold them accountable. And the people who are suffering, the victims, are the ones who are supposed to hold the government accountable and pursue justice, share information. So it's in the interest of justice that I'm sharing all this stuff and sharing all these questions. All I'm doing is asking questions. So this is the video that shown the young man, and then they say that even in his regular regular way of operating, he was known to the authorities because he had already been expelled for having a knife in school. So madness, just madness. Okay, so watch for a second. Just gonna have to mute it. So let's see if they're going to be banning even that one, as they've been banning me for publishing it on you see, this is another piece of information that was in that video, that the young man had been expelled for carrying a knife. And this is somebody who said that he was in their class, and he told us that they needed a genocide, the one they had in Rwanda, to fix the problems. They say the police knew him and he was known to social services. So I wonder if the police also knew that his father had been in the army as well, and that he was relieved from the army because he was an underage boy. This is the information about his family. Everything is, there, So we're here for the victims, and we are standing with the victims, with their families, and everything we're doing is to help there be justice for the families, for the victims. And we should self-reflect and see if there's something in our culture, in our society, that may have contributed to all these things. So my people, I've just submitted to you the information. And yes, white people are in danger, particularly women. A lot of nonsense happening around women. Women, easy targets. These are all women. And to end this English section, you see a woman getting beat up. British people, I'm talking to you. This is one of your best. J.K. Rowling, woman getting beat up. And who is protecting your women? You need to protect your women, and don't let anyone call you racist and phobia this and phobia that, because you're trying simply to protect your society and to protect your women. And then last and not least, when it comes to religion, the problem with this Kagamistan thing is that it ends up becoming like a religion. People who join the Kagamistan killing machine, the army, the RPF, the Rwandan Patriotic Front, it ends up becoming like a religion. And what it has in common with that other religion that you fear and that you rose up and went in riots when you suspected that it may have been Islam. What this criminal dictatorship of the Kagamistan in Rwanda has in common with religion that you fear is that once you join and you pledge, they join, they pledge, you cannot leave it. When you leave it, they punish you by death. They kill you if you ever leave. And this is something that they have in common with that religion. Because if you're a part of that religion and you leave it, they actually can sentence you to death. Their religion allows them to do that. And let's not even get into how their religion also treats women. So if you're concerned about the treatment of women, this religion allows mistreatment of women. Of course you may be concerned about our religion. And another thing, and this is an information that I got from someone from that religion who left the religion, who lives in Canada, and then gives people tools on how to defend themselves and how to challenge the religious things that they may be posting. I suggest you visit him. But he does his shows in French. Ironically, he's from Algeria. Algeria is the country of the men or women wannabe who beat up women in the Olympics. So his name is Jacques Le Fou. He's from Algeria and he does shows in French. And he used to be part of Islam, but he left Islam. And so he does videos on YouTube exposing Islam and exposing on why Islam is dangerous for the Western world. You have all these people coming from the Islamic world coming into the Western world. He exposes how it's dangerous. And one of the things that he says when it comes to something that is related to women and little girls is that Jacques Le Fou exposes that the Prophet in Islam actually married a little girl when she was 6 years old, the little girl Aisha. He even gives you uh, places that you can find it in the Islamic documentation. The Prophet was over 50 years old. He got married to a young little girl of 6 years old. And then he consumed the marriage. He had sex with her when she was 9 years old. So if you're in the Western world and you hear these things, are you not supposed to be concerned? Are you not supposed to be worried and scared about your little girls if this religion was to become the religion of the country? Why shouldn't you be scared? And why shouldn't you be asking questions? And then, so the other thing that is concerning is that while in the Western world, you give everybody freedom who comes to you, you give everybody freedom, anybody can come here and be free. The issue and the danger and the fear is that if this religion was to take over because it's been given the freedom to exist and be here as well, because this is a free society, so you give it freedom and you give freedom so that it may also exist. But if they were to take over, they will not give you the freedom that you give to them to exist. They would force you to be part of the religion. And if you do not accept to be part of the religion, what is the sentence for people who leave the religion or do not accept to be part of the religion? The sentence is death. So, white people, yes, you are in danger, and yes, you are justified in your fears. And please express them, have dialogue. You live in a free society, and do not allow your society to be corrupted and taken over by all these things. You can set the rules while still giving freedom to everybody. And then at the same time, do not also allow people to be like, oh, you're a racist or you are Islamophobic and this and that, when you have genuine concerns about your society and about your future. And most importantly, have way more children. And that is how you will make it. All right, my people. So that's all I have to say today in English.